My star brother,
Yes, and my
Jeff
sister.
Turner.
Hmm.
I have missed you.
And I have missed
It's been hard.
you.
I mean, it's been like 3 weeks since we've seen each other, for a variety of reasons. Your stuff, my stuff, our stuff. And I wanted to start the show tonight with, our obligatory classes in session. But this has also been, as you would say, a season of learning, a season of observation, a season of tumultuous change.
Mhm.
And last week, the shows were set. We were all good to go for Friday night. And then an event in this country last Wednesday changed everything. It changed the conversation. It changed everything.
Mhm.
And I don't want to talk about it tonight because, frankly, I feel like the whole country is talked out on this.
Agreed.
So rather than bringing that to the forefront, what I want to say is I'm sorry that I could not do the shows. You could not do the show on Friday night because we were traumatized. We were traumatized. And I think that it's okay for someone who, like ourselves, that bring messages to humanity to admit our own flaws, to admit, I should have been strong enough to to do it. I should have been strong enough to. I couldn't. I mean, it was like the air had been sucked from my lungs. I was in shock for a couple of days where everything seemed surreal and everything seemed all too real, and I didn't know. And now the cascading effects and everything that's coming with it, I decided that I wanted to begin the show tonight, first of all, by apologizing for my weakness and my frailty in a moment of crisis in my country. And that's what I considered a murder to be, in the same way that I considered George Floyd's murder to be a national tragedy. So there's that. And thank you for all being patient and, maybe even watching a rerun or just, tuning out for a week or so, or maybe you were traumatized too. I know that I feel, emotionally very tired. I feel, in a way, alive in a strange way, almost as an observer of life. And tonight, Bill is going to play some music for us that he wrote, that he composed, about getting back to nature. And we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, Jeff, and I didn't even hit you with this today, I did not. This was my thought for the last couple of days, and I never even ran it past you because I knew that you would totally get the analogy, that the metaphor would be glaringly obvious to you. But tonight, what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about our togetherness as a society and how we can come together in strange and unusual ways. Now, think, for instance, what's my favorite game? I love football. I love football. I think of it as a microcosm of our whole society. And human beings are predisposed to enjoying conflict. We are. It's built into our DNA. We have the World Wrestling Federation, and we have people that like to watch cars go around and around in an oval. And, if there's some crashes, oh, yay. I mean, we are, we come from this rugged, like rugby-esque mindset of let's establish a playing field and then put two teams out there. It's really not that different from what happened in the Colosseum 2,000 years ago. It's just not that different. And yet, 100,000 people will cram into a stadium on any given Sunday, and they will cheer. They're wearing something that denotes who they're there to support.
Yep.
And they stand side by side, cheering their team on, drinking beer with each other, and nobody says, "Who did you vote for?"
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is, now I can't speak for other countries. We both know, you get a heated soccer match going and somebody's going to punch somebody else out in the stand and there's going to be a brawl. And that's what they do in Europe. And I don't know why. And why do we still have people that chase bulls through the streets of Italy and then kill them in an arena? With poison darts. I mean, we're just barbaric, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Human beings are barbaric. And I love, Jeff, if you were sitting here in this parlor on any given Sunday in the fall, through the winter, through the playoffs to the Super Bowl, any given Sunday, if I'm not doing an event, if I'm not out of town, which I never am anymore, really, hardly at all, I will be Saturday watching college football, Sunday watching NFL, and doing other things at the same time, so that I can feel like I'm functional for the day. But I'm there screaming, "Take him out. Pull that body off the field, throw him off the field, and let's put in another player and let's keep going and take the," and I turn into this raving lunatic fanatic. The word fan comes from fanatic. And if it's one of my teams, and I have several that I particularly love and enjoy watching play, including the Bills, the Buffalo Bills. I love them. And I truly love the Kansas City Chiefs, and I truly love Tampa Bay, and the New England Patriots. I gave up on a few years ago after supporting them for 25 years. I was just like, forget it. You guys have lost your mojo. I'm all done with you, at least for now. And that part of who I am comes out of me. And I'll be on the phone with my father. "Did you see that play?" And he's screaming, "That ref, bad call. He did that on purpose. He's waited on the other side," and so on and so forth. I'm like, "Dad, the refs, they're just doing their jobs, Dad. Like, stop screaming at me, because they're just doing their jobs." And that's how my Sundays go. And it's my favorite day of the week. I get up in the morning and I meditate and I speak with the universe and I talk to God and I talk to my mother and I talk to my sister and I go to church within. And then I watch Sunday Morning on CBS, which is like going to church. It's just a fascinating show. And then I watch a little bit of news, catch up, and then it's NFL from noon straight through till 11 o'clock that night. And it's an obsession. It's an obsession that I have that I cannot make go away, but it also pulls me away from too much news.
Mm-hmm.
It pulls me away from too much stimuli, too much feedback, too much ugliness between people. When if you just look at that stadium, and honestly, if a fight breaks out on the field and it's of a personal nature, everybody's screaming at them to stop. Mm-hmm. Stop it. Let the refs ref the game and throw that bastard out. He just started that. He pulled his face mask off. It's that part of that conflict, that confrontation part of us that we seem to enjoy on some level or another. I cannot explain it. I was hoping that perhaps you could. Is it just so deeply ingrained in our nature that we respond to it one way or another? And why can't we be a society? Here's the big question, and then just go for it. Here's the big question. Why can't we as a society be at a football game all together, drinking beer, cheering for our side all the time? Why can't we have that all the time? Go.
Yeah. Well, for one, it is so good to be back with you and with everybody. I've missed this immensely. And I, for one, my soul is in need of the conversation that I know is going to unfold over the next hour and some change. So I'm so glad to be back with you. You look amazing. I know we text, but it's so good to see your face. And
you too, baby.
Anyways, yeah, no, on what you're saying, I feel you. I felt slightly traumatized myself over the last week. You know, not only because of what we saw,
yeah,
and the ease with which we were able to see it,
yeah,
and the ease with which we were able to scroll past it if we wanted to get onto cat videos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did my fair share of cat videos last week.
For sure. And I won't even go into it, but everybody knows what I'm referring to because we're not getting into the specifics of it tonight. But I mean, just the trauma of seeing something like that we were never meant to see. We were never meant to see that. Never. We weren't created to behold things like that.
Yeah.
And not only could I access it with ease, in fact, I accessed it accidentally. I wasn't even looking.
So did I, accidentally.
I opened up TikTok, which I rarely am on TikTok, but I did. And there before me was this horror of horrors. And I scrolled past it just to get it off my screen. And there's this account of this this monkey I follow where it's just people feeding this monkey fruit that I just find funny and heartwarming for some reason. And I'm like, how do I go from this to that?
To that.
Our brains are not meant to function.
Yeah, we're not wired that way. We're not.
No. We are being collectively driven insane, I think, with the barrage of information and images and content that we're just having thrown at us of like hypernegativity, murder, monkey eating fruit, cat video. I mean, it's like, I think we're being driven collectively insane. And I think it would do all of us really a lot of good to unplug for a season. And I decided last week I was going to largely unplug. I hid most of my social media apps in a folder on my phone that I titled Toxic. Do you really want to open this? That's what I called it. So that every time I get the temptation to go after that dopamine hit, before my finger taps the screen, I have to tap the word toxic in order to tap it. And I have to ask myself, do you really want to open this? Because I know it's not good for me. So I have been really attempting to reduce my intake of that. But anyways, on what you were saying about the division and the divisiveness, this is something I've been thinking a lot about, well, at least the last year, but really for the last many years.
Yeah.
But especially, you know, we see it, man, I don't, when the event occurred last week, which again, we won't get into the specifics of, it seemed to me almost like unwitting sleeper cells on both sides of an argument were awakened. Yeah. That didn't even know they were being programmed.
They didn't even know. Yeah.
Just like I said, the constant barrage of information.
Yeah.
And the echo chambers, not even echo chamber. I don't even think echo chamber is a proper word. We need a new term to define what it is. Yeah. It's literally a universe, a totally separate world that we can choose to live in based on what social media platform we use, based on what algorithm, what the algorithm is feeding us within a certain app, but we can literally live in different realms. And this is part of the separation problem.
Yes.
Like, I know I've said this before, I think on the show, but like, so every creation myth really has a point at which there's a center point in creation myths. So it's Yggdrasil, the tree in Norse mythology. It's the Garden of Eden and the Tree of Life in the biblical
Judeo-Christian,
Christianity, the biblical myth of creation. Whatever, there's these center points, right? And societies used to mirror this this concept, and we used to build our villages around our temples. So, and then our temples. So, maybe the one that's most easy for some to recall, because we are embedded in a Judeo-Christian society mostly, so the image might be in people's minds, is the Hebrew temple, the Jewish temple, right? Yeah. It consists of three spaces. There is the outer court. So this was a part of the temple that anyone could really go into.
Anybody could access, yeah.
Anyone could access. And then there was the inner court, and this was where only priests could go. Yeah. And then there was the Holy of Holies, the center, and this is where the Ark of the Covenant was. In earlier years later, that was taken. It was taken during the siege of Jerusalem in 586 BCE. But for the most of the history of the temple, the Ark of the Covenant was there, and there only the high priest could go, and then only once a year to meet with God. So there was like these layers, right? There was the outer court, inner court, Holy of Holies. So it was always about, there's this center point, kind of this anchor, and it kind of builds out from there. And then we structured societies, we structured villages that same way. So We have this layered kind of a Russian nesting doll thing going on. So we built societies like that too. Our villages, we had the temple or the church or the sacred shrine or whatever it was, the sacred tree, whatever it was, a culture worshipped or, worship, let's just say. That would be the center, right? And then we would build the village around that, right? And that would be the center. And so it drew us all together. There was something that drew us together. There was this, no matter what went on in our homes, no matter what the conversation was, there was this center point. And we all came together around it. There weren't three, there weren't two. There was one thing that drew us together. The home was built similarly. There was a hearth. There was a sacred fire of some kind, a table that the family would gather around. So the home mirrored the structure of the village, which mirrored the structure of the temple, which was attempting to mirror the structure of reality and creation itself, where everything was built around a center point, right? So there was always something that anchored us, and it kind of, in a fractal way, went outwards. But everything we did as a society was built around there being a center point that brought us together. So the home was similar, right? There's multiple members of a household, but there's a table, there's a fire, there's a hearth, there's something that we would gather around at the end of the day, and we would share stories with one another. We would talk about what our day was. The elders would share wisdom tales and stories and proverbs, and everyone in that family, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever members of a household, multiple generations would be brought together around the hearth, which was, again, mirroring the very structure of reality. There was always a center point. Now, think about the doing away with of the hearth through the introduction of something like the television, right? In the 40s, 50s, 60s, et cetera, or whatever, the radio, whatever the progress of that was. Okay, so now there is this center point. But it isn't within the family wisdom. It's people with agendas on the outside. People who, you know what I'm saying? So this house could be tuning into this station. This house could be tuning into that station. They're still gathering around something, but now they're gathering around something that is pitting us against one another. So households are still, for the most part, joined together, but they're still, now the village is being torn apart because we're this versus that. Now you think about the introduction of this thing, right?
Yeah.
Now the hearth, which became like the television, which could be fed, where we could be fed propaganda and things that divide us, because people out there do have agendas. It does pay the bills for us to be at each other's throats and against one another. It does. There are people who have a vested interest in us not liking each other. There are.
And rake in big bucks, making sure
absolutely
that there's a proliferation of this kind of mutual contempt.
Absolutely.
That is nothing but destructive.
Right. So now everyone has a fractal bit of the television, the replacement of the sacred hearth. We all have our own now.
Right.
So now we're not even a community within the home gathering around a hearth being fed the same propaganda. Because at least once upon a time, we gathered around at least the same propaganda. So at least within a household, we were on the same page. We just maybe wanted to kill our neighbors, right? Or the guy down the street. Now we all have our own quote unquote sacred hearth, which is really a portal to hell a lot of times. And we literally, you can have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 members in a household, all being fed something completely different. And every member of the household literally perceiving reality completely differently from the person they're sitting 1 foot away from on the couch. Yeah. And you could all be together and yet completely isolated. So, and that just bleeds outward. And you look at society, we really don't have a sacred centering point, and it's bled its way into our households. We are fractal reflections of the core of the reality that we've set up. And we look, I'm all for post-modernity, and I'm all for continental philosophy and deconstructionism and all that. But at some point, even Derrida said you happen upon the non-deconstructible, right? No matter how much you deconstruct, you eventually hit that which cannot be deconstructed, the non-deconstructible, which he called justice or love, something like love, which we could very well call God. So That is our larger problem. We have no sacred centering point anymore. There is no, even just the concept of God itself, or even of love. Everybody's like, yeah, well, what is love? It's a social construct. It's this or that. It's the other. Everything's so squishy and just slips through our fingers. There's nothing we can really grip onto anymore. And so we are all open to people who come to us speaking with certainty, with agendas, and we get sucked into things. And like I said, you can have a big old sectional couch with 7 different members of a family sitting on it, and all of us are sitting here doing this, and all of us think completely differently from the person sitting next to us. Like there's the old saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. So how we do family is how we do government. How we do family is what society looks like. So as above, so below. That's what that really means if you break it down. That the larger whole looks like the smaller whole, and the smaller whole looks like the larger whole.
Yeah, and each family is a microcosm of the entire society.
Exactly.
But okay, picture the same sectional.
Mm-hmm.
This family lives in Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
It's 1:00 on a Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
The Bills are playing the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
That whole family's getting along just fine for the next 3 hours.
Yep. And that's exactly it. And this is where we've lost it, because that is the point at which, again, there is something like
community,
the hearth restored.
Yeah.
There's something like the sacred fire restored, where we all gather. And yeah, we could even say there's a kind of maybe brutishness to it still, of like rooting for one team to beat the other. Sure. But this is the way that over time, like even when you look, actually, it's a pretty fascinating study. Even when you look if you look biblically, there is a lot of evidence that human sacrifice, not animal sacrifice, but that human sacrifice was, as it was with most cultures, a part of early Jewish culture. It's hidden there in the text. You can see it, but you can also see where it was changed, where some of these things were edited. And you can see, when you go back to the earliest writings, how it was kind of just a given. Human sacrifice happened because it happened in all cultures, pretty much without exception. But you can also see then through the text how it begins to be tweaked and how it changes, and then it becomes animal sacrifice. And that seems to us so incredibly barbaric, but it's better than sacrificing your children, right?
Yeah.
And then even that, though, once you're in the animal sacrifice system, after a while, you're like, this is terribly cruel. And so then in the New Testament, we have the whole concept of Jesus as the sacrifice that ends all sacrifice, and then sacrifice becomes praise, worship, generosity. So there's this constant upgrading of the concept of sacrifice. So you start with something brutal, and you're still using the same language of sacrifice that, if you go back far enough, it denotes violence, but now it's no longer a violent act. Something like football, yeah, it might have its origins in the Colosseum, but we're not feeding people to lions anymore. We're not spearing anyone on Ford Field. We're just cheering when our team wins. And yeah, we might say, take that bastard down, but still, it's just catharsis. And when it's all said and done, we can slap each other, high five, make a few jokes, about how your team sucks and blah, blah, blah. And it's all good fun, right?
It's all good fun.
It's all good fun. But that is like that sacred hearth that we lost. That's that unifying kind of anchor point. And like, I know we've talked about this as well, but like the Gurdjieffians, those who follow the teachings of the teacher G.I. Gurdjieff, they would call something like that third force. Right. And I love this concept of third force. It's really revolutionized my thinking. It really has. Third force means this. So there's always like
opposing forces.
Yeah, we're always binary in our thinking. We have the affirming force and the denying force. In any given set of circumstances, there's an affirming and a denying force. Two things that threaten to undo each other. Right. Third force in Gurdjieffian thinking is when the binaries become so pronounced that they're not just like in balance, but they're threatening to undo and destroy one another. Third force is this thing that sort of emerges outside of the system. So this is affirming and denying, pushing against each other, threatening to undo one another. Third force emerges out here, and it captures the attention of both. And instead of now destroying one another, we join around third force. And then what happens is, I love the concept. It's not anymore this thing and that thing. And it's not this thing, and this third thing. It's now the three things come together as one new thing. And the Gurdjieffians use the illustration of a braid, that you have to have at least 3 strands to make a braid.
And
once you have a braid, You no longer refer to it as three strands. If someone has a if
Braid,
someone
it's a
has a
single.
braid, yeah, you're not like, oh, I love those three strands of collections of hair you've got hanging off the back of your head. You're like, oh, I love your braid, or I love your braids. It's now something totally different. Third force is that thing that enters the scene when the binaries are becoming too pronounced and threatening to destroy one another, that bring us together. And it's no longer us, them, right, left, whatever, or whatever. And this third thing, it's now we're completely one new thing. I'm reminded when, it was probably, it was a year and a half maybe ago, when you were able to see the Northern Lights just beautifully from where we are here in Michigan. And I remember we had just gotten done with the show. I believe we did a 2-hour show that night too, because I remember it being it was later. It was like after 11. And I got a text from a coworker who was like, go outside right now. It's beautiful. And, so me and my whole family, we spilled out in the streets and we're just looking up. And it's like the sky is on fire. You know what I mean? The sky is just on fire with these dancing colors. And you look down the street and the neighbors with one political sign in their lawn are also out there gobsmacked. And the neighbors down here with the opposing team's political sign in their front lawn are also looking up at the sky gobsmacked. All down the street, everyone is just looking up at the sky. And I'm like, that's third force. That's third force. Here we have all these people that if you get into a political argument, might be ready to strangle one another. But something of wonder and beauty and awe appears, and instantly all of us are not us and them anymore. We're a braid. We're one new thing staring at the sky in awe, no longer needing to throw the other person under the bus in order to feel like we're right. We're just gobsmacked at the awesomeness of reality. And I think we've just lost, I think as a society, we've really just lost something to be in awe of. You know what I mean? We're so gathered around outrage. We're so gathered around having a scapegoat to throw under the bus. Earlier, I reached under my little shrine here to grab this book, The Scapegoat. If you have not read the works of Rene Girard, please do so, my friends. It might not be for everyone's taste. There's
it's very philosophical.
It is.
That's what I find most appealing about it.
Right. A friend of mine, Michael Harden, Rene Girard called him his best interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
A good friend of his. If you want something that maybe is a little less Girardian, well, it's very Girardian, but a little less Rene Girard and a little maybe something more approachable, check out the works of Michael Harden, brilliant theologian. But Girard, this book in particular, The Scapegoat or Violence and the Sacred, which is, I think, his first work, he lays this out beautifully, that we build our society around scapegoats. We build our societies around victims. And he talks about, so this is the opposite of third force.
Yeah.
He talks about how he goes all the way, he was an anthropologist, and he goes back to like early human beings. He talks about something called mimetic desire, which means humans, we don't want what we want. We want what other people want. So if we agree upon something is desirable, so I don't know, let's say a particular resource, we all want it. Everyone in the village wants the same thing. Well, it's limited. We can't all have it, and we can't all have the same amount. It's a limited resource, but everyone wants it. So what happens? There's a war that begins within the tribe. And so he says this is a war of all against all because everyone wants the same resource, whatever it is, fill in the blank. And so let's just say in early village, there's this tension. There's this war of all against all because we all want the same thing. So we evolved this sort of mechanism called the scapegoat mechanism to keep us from destroying one another because inside we know we have to survive. So what do? We select a victim from among the tribe. We select one victim instead of all of us victimizing one another. And we all agree that this is the person we can throw in the volcano, we can throw on the altar and drive a knife through them or whatever. And so in Girard's view, this is the origin of sacrifice. We all agree that instead of victimizing one another and destroying ourselves, we'll choose one. And so it could be someone with like some kind of perceived defect. It could be someone even that is perceived as being like more beautiful than anyone else. It can kind of go either way. It's anything that sets them apart as different. It's usually what we say, oh, there's something or someone different. You must be the cause of this trouble. And so we'll take that individual or even a small group of individuals and, well, early men, we would destroy them. We'd kill them literally. And then there would be this sense of catharsis. We would be like, okay, well, tensions have died down. The gods must be appeased and pleased.
Yeah.
And we would have this season of peace. And then we would get back into the same cycle of all versus all. And so then we would have to do the all versus one thing to avoid all destroying all. So we would find another victim and we would keep repeating this over and over. Eventually, this becomes religion, right? Eventually, this becomes we need a sacrifice, we need a victim, we need a priest and a priest class to offer this victim. So that's Girard's view of kind of the origins of religion. Okay, so we have to gather around a scapegoat. We gather around a victim that we can all agree this is the bad guy. This is the bad guy. And if we can all agree this is the bad guy, well, then society can function kind of. Well, what happens when the dead start speaking from under our feet? What happens when those we deem to be victims begin to cry out against us in one way or another, even if it's just that historians begin to reveal that these people weren't the guilty individuals you said they were? Well, then the whole structure threatens to come undone.
Or from beyond the grave,
Yeah,
someone who is guilty.
right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Beyond the grave can affect an entire society.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the name on every set of lips
Yep.
in the country of any thinking, feeling human being.
Yep. Yep.
And we are at a time, I to a certain extent I agree with Girard. I feel like there is merit and plausibility to the theory, to the concept, that's the rudimentary foundation of the founding of religion, as part of the human condition.
Yeah.
But for me, there's something else, and we've talked about this so much, Jeff, but it merits being revisited again. That part inside of us, that place where we go to be still, that place in us that is so filled with love that it feels like it's going to rupture from the overwhelming pressure of the eruption of pure love. Not everybody feels that.
Yeah.
Not everybody does. People are different. And so, I had a friend once who was a psychiatrist, and Michael, and he said to me one time, "But dear, if you can only speak Chinese, then you can only speak Chinese." So I had to sit with that. I had to think about that. For me, my internal life, my internal self is so vivid, so vibrant, so even inappropriately vivacious. I am caught in thought all the time, all the time. Not everyone is. Not everyone feels empathy and compassion. Some people are empowered by cruelty. We know this. It's like stating the obvious. Feel empowered by exerting their force and their will on others in a very cruel manner. And that makes them feel bigger, stronger, and feeds egos. That's not who you are. That's not who I am. And I would venture to guess that the vast majority of our viewers fall into the same category as we do. And that is that we feel a sense of love for each other and for this planet that might actually end up being its salvation. And I think that the only way for us to heal is for each of us to go within and reflect on where we're coming from and where we are going and where we are in this moment, this pivotal moment of now. And do you feel I ask each and every one of you within earshot or watching this broadcast, do you feel compassion? Do you feel a sense of kindness and generosity of spirit toward your fellow human being? If you do not, if you feel isolated, if you feel as though you cannot interact because it's too risky, it's just not safe anymore. You know, that your feelings, you will be rejected, your feelings will be hurt, you will be, called an ugly name, you will, you know, that's what creates silos. That's where everybody flows into the same camp where they receive constant affirmation and constant vilification and constant this what is happening here is that we're reinforcing each other's beliefs, even if those beliefs are off the fucking wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, but there's a community within reach because of the little Google machine that, I mean, I avoid it like the Black Plague of Europe. I do. I hardly even put anything up. If I do, I put it up and then I leave immediately. I don't look at anything because I can't. Because, excuse me, because it's not good for me, because it is toxic. Yep. And I think if everybody starts to reflect now on where we are, and maybe this is a good time to take a giant step back, take a step back and just reflect, observe what is happening. Don't participate in it right now. That can change whenever you feel that you need to go to a protest march, or you need to, write something on Facebook, or you need to, whatever. I mean, that can change. But for right now, in this moment, I think that if we could draw a collective deep breath and go into safe space within ourselves. And before our time is up, for this hour, I want to give Bill a chance to put up whichever of the two songs he's going to play tonight that he composed that best suits our conversation. Bill, there you are, darling.
There's actually 3.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you want to play first?
Why don't we do this? You guys continue. Then you take your break at the top of the hour. While you're taking your break,
okay,
I can run through these songs while you guys do your thing, because it'll take some time to play them. It'll be taking like 8-9 minutes.
Oh, okay, good. That gives me a break. That includes a bathroom break and more coffee. Thank you very much.
Before I do that, I'm just going to tell you, because after the events of last week, I wrote a song called Weeping Dove. With everything that's going on, and people need to come together. There has to be a way to move forward. All of us, regardless of our differences and our opinions, we have to find a way to come together. That's one.
Yes.
The second one is the calling. It's similar to what you guys are talking about. It's more of a connection. It's my way of meditation. It's a way to get away from everything. Like when I'm bike riding, I make a connection with my surroundings, nature, what I would call spirituality in a sense.
Yes.
And letting go of everything that's held inside and releasing it.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is a happy song called Cyberspaces, where we all come together.
Was that the one I was dancing to before we came on the air?
Oh, that's my.
Oh, okay. I really liked that dance
song. That's a party song.
Okay.
I just want to get back on, because, like you guys said, we have to find a way to release the stress, the negative energies, the darkness that surrounds all of us. We have to go toward the light and stay away from all the darkness. Yep. So music is my way of putting it to words and coming from here, and the soul.
Yeah. I write poetry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Both of you know.
Yeah.
So, that's my way of getting away from everything and finding my mind to focus on some more positive stuff.
It's excellent. Well, how long till we have our break, honey? I don't have my phone with me.
About 15 minutes and I'll be back.
Okay, sounds good. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. No, and I agree. And you know what? I've been doing the same thing, not with music necessarily, but this week, I just noticed, man, you don't, addicts typically don't register the fact that they're addicts.
Yeah.
Other people do, right? And
Yeah.
then something happens that causes your addiction to become visible to you, and it often feels like a brick to the face, right?
Yeah.
And we are, so many of us are addicted to this little thing.
Yeah.
Phone, if you can't see it. And I found myself just before the events of last week. I was like, why am I just scrolling? Apps that I was never even on.
Yeah.
That I was trying to build like a following, build a platform. On one of these.
Yeah.
That was. And then you get so drawn into it. Next thing you know, I'm just scrolling. Useless videos. Useless.
Yeah.
Useless. I mean, look, there's a time and a place. If you're just blowing off some steam, there's some entertaining stuff out there. I'm not vilifying or demonizing the whole thing, but I mean, good Lord, we don't realize how addicted we are to that dopamine hit we get when we flip up to the next video. And after the events of last week, and when I saw the particular video that I saw, and I was absolutely traumatized by what I saw. I was like, I should not have access to something that could give me access to that. Yeah. What in the world have I become? And how did I just scroll past that and again land on a video of a monkey eating a mango and then flip again and have a cat video?
I know.
And it's like, how in the world?
I know. It's mind bending, the irony of it.
It is.
I mean, I saw it accidentally.
Same.
I saw, because my niece sent this to me and she said, this has got to be AI. This cannot be real.
Right.
And when I opened her text message, it played.
Yeah.
And it was only like 5 seconds, but I knew that what I saw was a kill shot.
Yeah.
I knew that what I saw was a murder.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to see it. I didn't ask to see it. I wish that I had never seen George Floyd.
Yeah.
I wish that I had never seen that, because it hurt my soul. It wounded a part of me that I can never ever escape the image. Not ever. And that's the problem with consciousness. Let's take that leap, because, we're supposed to be attempting to spiritually mature, to evolve into more deeply feeling, more pure and perfect love human beings, where we care for each other, we lift each other up. There are no boundaries. There are, no predisposed differences between us. And when we achieve, and it might never happen, it probably won't happen in my lifetime, but when we achieve a realization of oneness, which we've talked about ad infinitum.
Yes.
When we achieve that, Jeff, when we understand that we are our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper, we are soul sisters and soul brothers, that we are all one creation. When that occurs, if that occurs, it will change the world permanently.
Yeah.
Like nothing will ever be the same. That's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen en masse. Right. It has to happen individually, one person at a time. And it begins with the decision of, I just want to be a better person.
Yep.
I just want to be, I want to feel how good it feels to be kind to a stranger. And before we take our break, I just wanted to share one story with you. And it's funny. It is. It's funny. There's this elderly woman named Barbara. I won't use her last name, but she lives down on McCurdy Road, which is not far from here. It's about maybe a half a mile away. And I was cooking dinner last night when the dogs went ballistic And I thought, what? Is it Amazon delivery? Like, what is it? And I went to the door, and there is Barbara, who's in her late 70s or maybe even early 80s, that had made me a cake, a beautiful chiffon coconut cream cake that she probably worked for hours on. I mean, this was not a box mix. Please believe me when I tell you, this was a bona fide grandma made me a cake, and she was standing there holding it outside the door. I peeked out the curtain. I was like, oh my God, is she lost? Like what, And I went out, and she had been here a couple of other times, and had made her presence known. She came down when she heard that Mom had passed away, and, which was very kind, and brought us, some offering of a gift of food, as many of our neighbors did. And, and that sense of community is such a blessing. And I walked outside, and she said, I made this for you, and I'm praying for you every day. I haven't seen this woman in a year. And she just showed up in the yard with this gift of this beautiful creation of her own. And I put it down on the farmer's bench outside the door for a moment, and I embraced her in my arms and held on to her and cried, because I was so touched that she would do that for me, that she even remembered me. That is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we need.
Yep.
My father had his 90th birthday, and our neighbor across the street, Suzanne, went and got him a beautiful gift and a huge card that had a listing of, like, it was just this huge card, and it had everything that happened of any import in the world in the year he was born in 1935. Well, kind of a busy year on planet Earth, if you know anything about history. 1935 was a pivotal year in the course of human history, and it also included the birth of my father. And she went out and found this beautiful gift and this beautiful card and brought it over the day before they arrived. We all drove back together from Savannah, after I went down to do the Paracon a couple of weeks ago. And she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to do that. It's those moments, Jeff. I didn't have to hold that door, but I did it automatically for that lovely elderly gentleman that was seemingly struggling with his walking cane. Of course, I held the door for him. It didn't matter that he was the man and I was the woman. Of course, I held the door for him and greeted him as he went by, and made sure that I kept an eye on him when he was in Walgreens, because the floor is slippery in there. It's that. And it's a mindset.
Yeah.
It's not even a habitual thing. It can become habitual. It can become habitual.
Mm-hmm.
But Barbara brought me a cake that she made with her bare hands on a hot day in September in Georgia. And she did that for me. Just because.
Yeah.
Can we get to a place where just because is a good enough reason to do anything for anyone?
Yep.
Ever, all the time? Just because can be our new mantra? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of having to investigate, what are your politics? What are your beliefs before I do this? Am I allowed to be kind to you? Am I allowed to show you compassion? Am I allowed to be loving? Or am I going to get somehow contaminated by being compassionate to you if it comes to light that you voted this way versus that way, or that way versus this way? It's like we have caveated ourselves straight to hell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm so sick of it. Like, and I think some of the things that are happening in the world right now are almost like the universe's like that governor, that sort of internal corrective mechanism just kicking in to say, hey, here's a warning, keep going this way. Here's where it ends up. You really want to keep pushing?
You want to keep pushing? Yeah.
The end result of Girard's philosophy, by the way, is also not that that's the way society continues, but that there was one final scapegoat. And of course, Girard was an atheist when he came up with this theory, and he later converted to Catholicism. But just in studying religion, he noticed the trend.
Yeah.
That when humanity collectively crucified Christ, that's the belief, that it was kind of this collective act of humanity. Here's what happened. This is the victim that was sent back to us. So instead of us being able to bury this victim and build atop its corpse and say, hey, he was guilty, we were justified in this murder, and we can build society atop it. No, this one came back through the resurrection. And oh no, well, what happens now? Is it going to just recycle the cycle of violence? Because in the original way of doing things, that's what it is. It's a cycle of violence. It happens every time a sacrifice is offered. Well, now the sacrifice that we brutally murdered and called guilty, even though it was innocent, has come back. And it's not just come back, it's come back with all power and authority.
Yes, with a vengeance.
Yeah, we're face to face with the thing we murdered and called guilty, and it's been given power to take our lives if it wants to. But instead it looks us in the eye and it says, peace. Those were Jesus' first words on the morning of his resurrection. Yep.
Peace, be still.
And his disciples were terrified. Why? Because he's back, and we betrayed him. We abandoned him, and he's back, and he says, peace be with you. Peace be with you. And that's the message of the resurrected ultimate victim, is peace. And so now in Girard's theory, we build not atop the corpse of an innocent victim we call guilty. We now build atop the belief that all would-be victims are innocent. So now instead of approaching humanity as you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty, I approach everyone with the pre-existing belief of you're innocent, you're deserving of love, you're deserving of my goodness and my kindness, no matter what you believe about this, that, or the other. So I hold the door open for you. I bake you a cake. I offer to return your grocery cart to the little carousel because I'm already on my way there anyway. And it doesn't have to be some grand gesture.
No, it doesn't. Just the littlest thing. And well, speaking of little things, Bill just sent me a message like 6 minutes ago that said we had 5 minutes.
Oh,
sorry. And then this is how sweet he is. He told me not to forget to take my meds. This is my chemo, and I have to take it at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to take my meds. Bill is going to play wonderful music for us, and I love you, and I'll see you back in about 10 minutes, okay?
Right.
Okay.
I'm going to remove them right now, and I'm going to try to get this to work for everyone. And hello to everybody in chat, those that are watching, those that are listening. Hello to Liz, Jonathan, everybody else that's currently in the chat. So I wrote these songs. Now this one inspired me quite a bit to write this. Let's get rid of that noise. They're racing. And hello to PG. This is a pretty intense song. I hope you enjoy it. So I'm going to play this one now. And I have my lyrics that I write on the screen so you can read along as you hear it. This is called Weeping Dove. So I'm going to play it now.
Soaring above the land, grasping an olive branch, cries heard below, lowering to take a glance. Shadows of dark souls, evil intent within, lamented of opposing opinions. Each side remains entrenched, fueled by those who seek war. Ominous clouds in the sky, void of leadership. All flees as it cries. Light turns to darkness, sleepless in the night, watching from perch above, saddened by its sight, releasing the olive branch, symbol of peace and love. Tears fall like rain. Behold the weeping dove.
So you get a sense of where I'm coming from when I wrote that. It's pretty intense. I think the lyrics speak for itself. And Annie and Jeff will be back shortly. I'm going to play a couple more while they're taking a little break. This one, I'm going to scroll up and take it off the screen first, because there's other lyrics in there. This is where I write all my music. I write a lot of music. Now, this one is about meditation, connecting with spirit, connecting with nature. It's also releasing your inner self and letting it go. A lot of it is metaphorical, symbolic, but literal too. And this is called The Calling.
Sense of higher awareness, tuning into our surroundings. Sounds of nature all around us, visuals seem astounding. Double rainbow end to end, colors seem to mesmerize. Bald eagle soars above, moon begins to twinkle lights appear above, streaks of shooting stars. Tranquility of a campfire, the gentle chords of my guitar. Connecting with spirituality, a peace felt within. Comfort of surroundings, goosebumps on my skin. into space, emptying my mind. No outside noise, distractions. Our aura's now aligned. Sound surrounds me, tuning to her frequency. Sense of peace and tranquility, releasing all negative energy. Emergence of serenity. Removal of materialistic desires, survival back to basic norms. Mutual respect of the wilderness, living off natural resources. Shelter to weather a storm, standing above a water hole. Tarzan-like in appearance, nature calls to me, leaping for clearance. Nature calls to me, bonding with Mother Earth. Meditation makes connection, sense of rebirth. Wolf howls beneath moonlight, autumn leaves falling, embracing my surroundings, answering the calling.
One more. So that's my song that I wrote for my bike riding, my meditation when I'm out there connecting with my surroundings, nature. And literally, when I was bike riding one time, it wasn't an eagle, but there was a hawk in the woods, in the mountains, following me. I'm getting like the chills because it was literally following me on the trail. It was unbelievable. It was an experience. That's inspired me for this song. Now, the last one before they come back, and yes, Annie and Jeff will be right back. This one is a fun song. I had to put a fun song in there. This is about community coming together here with all the different platforms, social medias, all the things that we use, but for common good. And the name of it is Cyberspaces. Now, this one's a little on the techno side. It's meant as a fun song. So I'm just going to give you guys that heads up right now. And I hope all of you are having a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend. And here's the last one. I hope you enjoy them. Let's mute.
Gathering together, place of community, a world of multi-platforms, a sense of unity, friendship established, old and new faces, enjoying festivities, realm of cyberspaces, faces. consoles and devices, multiplayers thrive, content creators, imagination runs wild, artificial intelligence, information compiled, having fun with each other, laughing every day. Speaking of Kelly, Nick, or that paint a mole eye, extended family, we come together, new friends and old cyber crew forever. We gather all together, place of community, world of multi-platforms, a sense of unity, friendships established, old and new faces, enjoying festivities, realm of cyberspaces.
And that's it. I am sure they're back. They're probably like, what a break this was. I hope you all enjoyed that. Let me get Annie back and Jeff. I bet you Jeff is like, I didn't expect a rocker like you writing music like that.
Yeah.
Bill, as I said, you're full of surprises, my man.
But it's, it's a mixture of everything. When I write, it's like I said, it's from the heart, it's from the mind and the soul. And it's coming from within. So it's genuine. And the only thing that's AI there is the music. The lyrics are all mine. So I'll sit here and I'll just write what I feel, what I'm thinking. I'll pick a subject matter, something that's close to me, something that affects me. So it all has to do with things that are around me. It's not part of life. So it's a reflection of that. What do you guys think of it? Did you like it?
I loved it.
Very well done, man.
And all three pieces, they each had their own unique personality. That's what I loved the most. The first one really got to me. I mean, it like made me cry. The first one that you played.
That's a deep one. Because it's religious in nature too.
Well, yes, it is. And we've spoken personally. All three of us have spoken personally as I've faced my own challenges. And I've let you both know that even though I always considered myself a spiritual person, my faith has deepened. My belief system has strengthened. I have so many people that are praying for me. I am so humbled and so grateful by the outpouring of affection as I go through this. And I have done remarkably well on this new chemotherapy, even though we had some rough patches at first, more than rough patches, some really difficult times at first, but have gotten it down to a science now where I have to take 3 drugs before I can take the actual drug that's helping me. But those drugs are helping me too. And I thank God for scientists. I thank God for people that have the brain capacity to come up with the things that they do to help heal us and to extend our lives and to give us hope in times that seem very dark and hopeless, especially regarding cancer research.
In general, I think that's what we need more of, period. More love, compassion, tolerance, not ignorance, understanding, listening to each other, not just talking.
Right.
And also an important one, agreeing to disagree with respect.
Well, I think that the most important thing that we can all come to mutual agreement about and a mutual understanding of is that none of us are capable of changing the mind of another person. Why bother? What would be the point of that? You know, all we can control are our own thoughts, our own perceptions, our own reactions, or the lack thereof. I mean, we are each and every one of us individuals who are cognizant. You know, my college thesis was the reversal of Rene Descartes' theory. I think, therefore I am. And my thesis was I am, therefore I think. Well, not everyone thinks the way I do, and not everyone thinks with such ferocity as I do, and as you do. And Bill, your creative energy is enormous, and you found your outlet and your way of expression that is healthy and beautiful and creative. Jeff has done the same thing. I have done the same thing. If all of us seek ourselves out in this moment of reflection and decide what we want to reflect out into the world, what we want, what energy do we want to inject and interject in, you know, each and every day of this thing called soul school, where we are present and accounted for whether we want to be or not. You know, there's no hopping, you know, there's no hall pass. There's no, you have to get to a place in your mind and in your heart where what is, like what we talked about last week or the week before, what does not serve you any longer, what part of your perceptions do you need to relinquish and banish because they no longer serve you? No, none of us can convince anybody of anything. None of us can convince somebody to change their mind or suddenly be persuaded to think the way that we think. That is an absurdity. What we need to do is each and every one of us, I believe, each and every one of us needs to begin our healing within.
I just want to add one thing before I leave the both of you. First of all, anything that we do in a positive way that touches others is a beautiful thing. Yeah. So when folks are here watching the show or listening to it, a lot of people just want to get away from all the noise like everyone else. And it's a great place here, a social gathering that we talk love, peace, harmony, all the positive things in life, and do away with all that negative that surrounds us. So yes, even like with the music I write, if it touches one person in a positive way, yeah, it's amazing.
Well, I'll be one of those people. I know Jeff was as well.
So that's what matters. You know,
probably getting quite a reaction in the chat room too.
Yeah, there was a few. Anyway, love to both of you. Love to everybody that's watching. Have a great rest, and thank you for allowing me to play my few songs.
Thank you for sharing them with us, sweetheart.
All right, I love both of you and all of you. All right, see you guys later.
Right.
Jeff.
Yes.
One of the most beautiful, heart-wrenching, touching moments that I've ever had with you was one time. It had to be at least a couple of years ago, but we were doing a show about striving to attain eternal and internal peace, you know, giving ourselves that permission structure to go within, to get very quiet. And you did a meditation, and I sat here. I mean, I had to make sure my mouth didn't hang open. You spontaneously found the words to touch so many hearts. I remember receiving so many letters from people regarding what you shared that night. And I know I screenshotted a bunch of them to you to let you know that you were heard and made a difference in the world. And I wanted to ask you if you would take a few minutes tonight and just spontaneously lead us in a meditation for peace.
Absolutely. We want to do that right now?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. let's do this. If you would, and if you're comfortable with it, just close your eyes. Put your feet flat on the floor. And just breathe. And just feel your breath. Feel it coming in. Feel it going out. Feel it coming in. Feel it going out. Feel it coming in. Feel it going out. That is you. That is who you are. That motion of receiving life and then giving life. That motion of being grounded, feet on the floor. Inhale, exhale. That is the deepest truth of who you are. That whether you're conscious of it or not, whether you know it or not, whether you're aware of it or not, you are grounded in something. And you are constantly receiving of and from that something, and giving of and from that something. And in this moment, go beyond the physical, because the physical is a shadow of the deeper reality. And I don't want to say the spiritual, because that disconnects the two too much, but that reality of feet planted on the floor, grounded, and that reality of taking in and giving out, that is a shadow, that is a two-dimensional reverse projection of the greater reality, which is that you are rooted and you are grounded in something. And that something, I call it God, I call it Christ, I call it love. You might call it something else, but you and I are rooted and grounded in that. And you and I are constantly taking that in and giving that out, whether we're conscious of it, whether we're thinking of it, whether we're thankful for it, whether we're not thankful for it. It doesn't change the fact that that's who we are. And we're embedded in it, and we're part of it, and it's part of us. And so right here and right now in this moment, I speak to every soul listening to this broadcast, and I say to you that you are a part of God, and God is a part of you. You don't exist outside of the divine, and the divine does not exist outside of you. And if that's true of you as an individual, that's true of us as a community. And if it's true of us as a community, it's true of the communities that we are parts of ourselves. And that means that's true of the whole of humanity. And so right here and right now in this moment, we sit and we feel our oneness with the divine, with God, with love. And love can't exist outside of community. Love demands at least two parties to exist. And so if we're one with God, if we're one with love, we're also one with one another. So right now we sit as a collective thing, all of us one thing. And we sit with our feet planted in God, and we partake of God, and we exhale, we give of God. We sit with our feet planted in the divine, and we receive the divine, and we give the divine out to one another. And I speak to every anxious heart right now. I speak to those who in the last week, in the last 2 weeks, actually in the last 3 to 4 months, this might sound overly generalized, but I feel very specific to those who have been enduring in the last 3 to 4 months, that you have been experiencing anxiety attacks to the point where it's just like a sudden terror hits you. It's like a sudden burst of like adrenaline hits you. Like you feel like you're literally, it's the middle of the day. Nothing's really happening that is threatening, but you all of a sudden just feel threatened. And it's a very real phenomenon you've been experiencing for the last 3 to 4 months in this moment as we collectively sit and are conscious of our oneness with the divine, with one another. I just speak to that anxious part of your soul and I say, be still. I, as your brother in this, speak to that part of you and I say, be still. All of us reach to you. We put our hands on that anxious part of your soul and we say, be still. Be healed of that right now. I speak right now to, I feel like to someone there's issues with stepchildren, children that aren't biologically yours, that part of a relationship that came after the fact, and there are some serious issues, and I won't go into what I feel like those are, but there are some serious issues regarding stepchildren and you and your relationship with and to them. Look, it doesn't need to be hyper specific for healing to occur, but I just acknowledge that there's a situation like that with someone, or maybe more than one someones who are listening to this. And I just say, peace, be still. And I speak that into that situation right now. I inject that into the situation, and I want you to see and visualize just peace being injected into kind of the inky, black, chaotic waters of that situation. And I want you just to see the light of peace overtaking it. You will see resolution to this conflict. 2 to 3 weeks, there will be a resolution that you see, and I speak that into that situation. If there's someone watching this and you have like carpal tunnel, I just want to speak to your physical body right now. And I didn't mean to even go into all of this, but just as we kind of collectively sit in this place, it's like you can sometimes feel what's happening, like with others that you're connected to. And I just speak into your joints, I speak to your bones, I speak to your physical person right now, and I speak relief to those symptoms. I speak healing into your hands, into your joints right now. I just speak healing into that. Feel relief coming into you right now. You may even feel like a heat in your hands. Just receive that. That's healing. That's divine health flowing into you. And right now, again, we just sit. We plant our feet in the divine. We acknowledge that we are part of this. This is who we are. We're centered in this. We're anchored in this. We're not apart from this. We are a part of this. And we breathe in. We partake of it. And we breathe out. And we give of it. And I just declare that's who you are. Whether you know it or not, you're always in this space. Conscious of it, unconscious, it doesn't change the fact that you are. And in this moment, I just call your spirit, I call your soul to become conscious of that which you are a part of always, whether you're conscious of it or not. Yes. So. If you've been experiencing night terrors, even in the sense of like sleep paralysis, traditionally what people refer to when they speak of sleep paralysis, I am declaring that tonight you will sleep through the night. From the moment that your head, right now, I cancel the night terrors. I cancel the sleep paralysis, these things that are robbing you of rest. You are a child of God and you deserve to sleep. You deserve to be refreshed and recharged. So right now, anything that disrupts and disturbs your sleep, I cancel it right now. And I say, no, not tonight. You will sleep through the night. Somebody listening to this, you are going to have the best night's sleep tonight that you've had in months. I just feel a connection to someone right now that sleep paralysis and or like night terrors, terrible nightmares. No, not tonight. I declare that you will sleep tonight. You will wake up tomorrow refreshed, recharged, revitalized, feeling like a new person. And we cancel those things right now. No more. No more. You deserve rest. You deserve sleep, and you will have it. Gut problems, stomach issues. I feel that right now. I just speak into that as well. I don't even know what that is. I just sense some kind of gut problem, constant irritation. I just speak healing and I speak health into that right now. In Christ's name, I speak healing and I speak health into your gut. That could even be physical and it could even be spiritual. Someone that you just have this gut feeling of dread all the time as well. Like just like this sense of dread, like something's going to happen bad. That kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning about the anxiety. And maybe I'm circling back to the same thing. Maybe it's the same person. And even from the beginning, you're starting to like doubt and feel it again. I just want to speak peace to you. Listen to me. You are safe. You are safe. The universe is not predatory. The universe is not predatory. It's not after you. It's not trying to destroy you. I know that that's what we think we live in, but the greater reality is that we live in God, and God is love, and God is not seeking to take from you. God is your source, seeking to give to you. So I speak to that sense of dread in your gut, and I say, peace, be still. You are safe. You are safe. You are safe. You are safe. There is a rhythm. There is a flow to reality. And it is this, that the divine gives to you. You breathe it in. And then the divine calls you to give what it gave. And you breathe out. And you breathe in. And the divine gives. And the divine calls you to give back. And you breathe out. And it's effortless. It's as effortless as you're breathing. You're safe in this. You're safe in this. You're safe in this. So I speak right now just to someone. I really feel that. I see like just like a dark swirling vortex, like in someone's gut, like in your stomach area, just like this pit, this sense of dread. I say, be at peace. You are safe. You will breathe when you don't, when you're not your breath, you breathe when you don't know it, right? All through the night when you're asleep, you're breathing, you're inhaling and you're exhaling. You're being taken care of. You're being watched over, whether you know it or not, whether you're conscious of it or not, whether you're trying to or not. And so I speak to you that you are safe. Someone who just needs to know you are safe. You are held and you are beloved. And you are a child of God. And that's it. That's it. It's the end of the story. That's the truth of who you are. So just one more time, put your feet on the ground. Feel yourself rooted and grounded in God, in source, in the divine, in love. Breathe it in. When you breathe it in, see it just flowing and shooting through your body like light, lighting you up, enlivening you. And then exhale and give out. And know that the next breath will always find you when you give the last one you received. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, now I feel like I've been drugged. I do. I feel like I've been drugged. Oh my God. I so needed that, for my own personal healing as well. Honey, thank you so much. Thank you. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. It's one of the things that I love most about what you do is, that part of you that is an empath and that part of you that is frankly psychic, that picks up on the energies of others. I mean, we will undoubtedly receive letters after this show. I know I will, where people will write to me and say, Jeff was speaking directly to me. Jeff was speaking directly to me. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that everybody is right where they belong at any given moment, and that we are all, sharing one place, this rock that's hurling through space. But that we are present in this moment precisely where we need to be to learn something, because life is a perpetual motion of learning something new every day, even if it is just through quiet observation, even if it's just from listening, not saying anything, but just listening to the world around us. And for me, I've made a huge change in my life, a huge change. My whole life since childhood, I've had to have a light on in the room where I was sleeping, since living at the farm and not knowing not knowing what was coming next. So I've lived with anxiety. I've lived with that feeling of dread, that feeling of what's next, what's coming next. I've lived my whole life with that. Remember in my books where I wrote over and over again, based on this situation or that situation, childhood trauma, the gift that keeps on giving.
Right.
It really is a perpetual part. It becomes ingrained in who we are. And as we grow older, it transmutes to whichever situation is most, is most assertive, pushes itself to the forefront. And so then we'll transfer that anxiety from, what's going to walk through the bedroom door, like maybe literally walk through the door, to, what's going to happen to my country.
Yeah. Yep.
And everything in between. Everything in between.
Yeah.
And so when you spoke directly to that deeply entrenched permanent fixture of trauma, that you don't get to a certain age without experiencing some trauma in this life. It is the rare individual, the very rare individual, that never has something awful happen in their life that scars them and that leaves a mark, leaves a permanent mark on their soul. I felt that what you were sharing tonight was physically healing for me. I felt physical healing. I could feel the warmth at the bottom of my feet, the tingling in my hands. I could feel the hair follicles on my head. I could feel my lips and my eyelashes. I could feel the muscles in my legs. I could feel the rumbling in my gut. And I knew when you were starting to talk about gut issues, if anybody's got them, I do. And so much of it has to do with the chemo. But a lot of that's where I hold my stress. It's where I hold my anxiety. So I think, even though I'm sure we're speaking to a number of people that are suffering the same malady as I am for different reasons, hopefully for different reasons, it addressed everyone at once. It was really amazing. It, like, my stomach felt different. It felt calm. It hardly ever feels calm. So I'm grateful for that, and I thank you for that. I'm grateful to you for so much, Jeff. You have been. I don't think that it's an overstatement to say that this has been, from the loss of my mother till now, has been the hardest part of my whole life. And yet, when my sister April died in 2017, I didn't know if I would survive it. I was so bereft. I was so deep in grief that someone that young should be gone so soon. And then I realized that April's death, in a way that I cannot really articulate, prepared me for my mother's death. I didn't have a chance to say goodbye to April. I didn't have a chance I talked to her the night before she died at length. And our conversation was very supportive and really quite loving and very open and expressive. I didn't find out until the day of her funeral that she called everybody that she loved on this planet the day before she died, the day of the night that she died. I didn't know that until all of us were together in one chapel. And everyone said, when did you talk to April last? And it was all the same day. I think she had a premonition that she wasn't going to make it through this surgery, that she might not even get to this surgery. I don't know, even though she has told me through Spirit Box and through other methods that she did not take her own life. I cannot say that I don't know that definitively. April would lie to me about that, even from the other side, because she wouldn't want me to be disappointed. That trauma that occurred around my baby sister prepared me to be able to say goodbye to my mother and to survive my mother's passing. 3.5 weeks later, I am given a death sentence by a lovely oncologist who suffered through saying the words inoperable and incurable. She suffered with joy. She told me that we should start thinking about a lumpectomy. My progress has been so remarkable. And then a setback, and then motion forward again. And what is that? The breathing in and the breathing out, and a step forward and pulling back, and another step forward, and the healing that is happening to me now through you and through so many others that take the time every day to keep me in their prayers. I know those prayers are being heard. Even a few years ago, I don't know if I would have been so sure of that, but I am now, because it's not just the little pill that I showed you. Yes, that's a part of it, but it's so much more than that. It is my faith, my belief. I have two invocations. I have two my mantras, I have two. The first one pretty much everybody knows. And I even extended it a little farther so I could get as angry as I wanted to, because I've been a bitch from hell with this. I have been. I am just as belligerent and just as defiant in the face of this cancer as I could be if it was a mortal enemy. And the mantra is, get the fuck out of my big fat fluffy temple, you son of a bitch. Go back and live with your father, the devil. That's the first one, which right from the start was a message I received. Several months ago, I received another message, clear as it could possibly be. In the name of Jesus Christ, I expel you from my temple.
I remember you texted me that too when you did.
Yeah.
I feel like all the hairs on my body are standing on end right now. I've got chills like from head to toe. Like I really feel like something's happening right now. I don't mean to like
No, please say whatever you think, whatever you feel.
Anyone who's listening to this right now, listen. Seasons of doubt, seasons of unbelief, seasons of not being sure and certain, they're permitted, they're granted. You can have those. We all go through those.
Yeah, we all do.
But I feel like a surge right now of faith in my spirit and my soul and my body. Like I feel like on fire right now. And I just want to, like, anyone listening to this, I just want to speak into your being right now. Faith, the thing about faith is this. Faith isn't you. Faith is something like faith is you letting go and something taking hold of you. So, like, the remarkable faith and resilience that you see in our beautiful and beloved sister, like, that is letting go and being taken a hold of. You know what I mean? We're strong, but we're not that strong. You know, we're tough, but we're not that tough.
No.
Faith is what happens when you let go. And how eloquently have we heard you, Andrea, say it over the years that it's letting go and floating, right? That is when faith really happens, because faith is when you let go and you're like, I can fight so much, but I can only fight so much. And when you let go and float, that is when faith takes hold of you. You know, so often our efforts are actually resistance to faith. Faith, Alan Watts said, is when you let go and you submit to the flow of the river and you trust that the river is love and it takes you to where you're supposed to go. So I just want to speak to anyone right now that you're in doubt, you're in crisis, you've lost hope. I just want to speak an infusion of hope and faith to you right now. Like, let go of all of your own efforts and all of your own attempts at doing it on your own. Open yourself to whatever it is you believe in, okay? And I trust that it's good, okay? Yes. I just, whatever
embrace it.
Yes.
Hold it. Internalize it.
Yes. And right now, just believe that look, you holding on is important, but the most important thing is that you're held on to. You holding on is important, but it's more important for you to believe that you're held on.
And the only way that you can know that you are being held onto is when you let go. It's the only way. You know, I'm a film buff. I'm a aficionado of older films, particularly. One of my very favorite films is The Wizard of Oz. And for a wide variety of reasons. But my favorite shot in the whole film, the one that sends fire pulsing through me over and over again since I've seen this film at least 50 times in my life. I have seen this film. And my favorite scene is when the Wicked Witch of the West is skywriting with her broom, and she writes across the bright blue sky, "Surrender, Dorothy." Surrender, Dorothy. Well, I got to my place where she had to let go for everything to happen exactly the way that it did. She had to let go. She didn't know if she'd ever go home again, if she'd ever see Auntie Em. She never knew if she'd ever see Uncle Henry again. She didn't know if Toto got away. She didn't know. She had to just surrender self and confront the Wicked Witch who tried to take the slippers from her feet, and her fingers exploded in fire and lightning because she was not allowed to touch those slippers. It didn't matter if Dorothy surrendered or not. The witch was not going to get what she wanted, and she would be vanquished. Now, it's all metaphor. The whole story of The Wizard of Oz is metaphor. But what struck me to my soul from childhood was "Surrender, Dorothy," issued as a threat. Issued as a threat. We are living in dark times. We are living in threatening times. There's a lot that poses a threat to our way of life, our very existence societally, whether we will be fractured, whether we will be united, whether it will be somewhere in the middle. We don't know. As John Lennon said so brilliantly 50 years ago, it's not over. It will all be well in the end. If it's not well yet, then it's not the end. I hope that I got that was better than a paraphrase. I think that was verbatim. I try my best with John Lennon quotations. But, you know, also the more important quotation, I think, and the one that I probably resort to using the most because it speaks the most truth to me, was by Leonard Cohen when he wrote, "There is a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in."
Yes. Yes.
We're cracking up. We're cracking up. And we'd better find a way, like the ancient Japanese did, to take the gold dust, and to add the water, and to add the paste, and to seal the cracks with solid gold, because we can. Because it is an ancient art form, and because we can. We can create the world. I end the show every week with the same statement: be the change you wish to see in the world. Be the light you seek. Be that beacon of hope on the hill. Be that for someone every day. Make a conscious effort to be good, to be kind, to be generous, to be sweet, to smile when you don't even have to. Just put yourself out into the world, and an energy that is healing, not just for you, but for every single person that you touch in the course of a day. Every coworker, every passerby in a car, every person walking down the street, every person in front of you in the grocery line, everyone. Be the light, be the hope, be the beacon on the hill that proves that there is something redeemable about humanity. And then on Sunday, go to a football game. Even if it's just on your big ass TV, go to a football game and look at what I just described 2 hours ago, which is 100,000 people pretty much split down the middle, one side or the other. And I'm not talking about their football teams. I'm talking about their ideologies. All getting along, drinking beer together and screaming and yelling and, yelling at the refs who fuck up everything that they touch. And, think about that and laugh and smile and remember that on Soul School on Friday night that Annie and Jeff talked about the marvelous, mystical, mesmerizing, microscopic thing about football that informs our entire lives. Think about that. And we're out of time. So with that, I love you with all my heart, sweetheart. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This was the most fun I've had in 2 hours in a long, long time. Bill, thank you so much for sharing your inspirational music. And thank you all for listening. Be the light you seek. Bless you. Good night. Class dismissed.